Hi, and welcome to another edition of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And in this edition, we're going to take a look at Blair Hamilton. Blair Hamilton is a 32-year-old, 6'4" man who now chooses to identify as a woman so that he can play for a ladies' football team. Is this fair? Does this remove an opportunity for a biological woman to play as goalkeeper? Does it pose a risk to female players having someone of that stature and build playing against them? We'll have a look at this article and we'll make the full discussion, and you can decide if you agree or not. Anyway, I shall put myself in the corner and we shall take a dive straight in. So here's the article. 6-foot trans goalkeeper who used to play men's football is now selected for the England University's women's side. Blair Hamilton, 32, who is also a lead investigator of Tavistock transgender athlete study, will take one of the coveted spots, away from a woman, in the national squad within weeks. The player, a PhD student at Brighton University, was born male but identifies as female. He was selected after impressive displays for Hastings United Football Club women's team in East Sussex known as the U's. And it's clearly wrong. I mean, here's the picture. We'll do the article, but there's the picture of him. Nothing feminine about that. That is a man playing football. But he does have his hair in a ponytail now. What? Some 5'4" woman who is going in to try and defeat this man in a game of football is going to end up likely very, very damaged. Physically traumatized, I think. But anyway, we'll go back to the piece. A 6-foot trans woman who used to play men's football has been signed up as a goalkeeper for the England University's female side. In the latest example of a growing trend in elite sport, Blair Hamilton, 32, who is also lead investigator of the Tavistock transgender athlete study, will take one of the coveted spots in the national squad within weeks. The player, who was born male and is still male, but identifies as female but is not female, was selected after impressive displays for Hastings United Football Club's women's team in East Sussex known as the U's. Last Wednesday, the team tweeted, "The U's are delighted to announce that Blair Hamilton has been selected for the England University Sport women's squad." Demonstrating his excitement, Hamilton, a PhD student at Brighton University, responded that he was buzzing for this. Yes. But last night, the controversial appointment was already causing ructions. I bet it was. Maya Fostater, and we've dealt with her and her new group in an earlier video, and she's finally standing up to this. She's leading women a fight back against this sort of thing, finally. Maya Fostater of Sex Matters, which campaigns for clarity on women's only services and spaces, said women will lose out from being on the squad and will also potentially be put under pressure not to speak up about it because they're being frightened into this, they're being pressurised not to speak because they don't want to be seen as transphobic, but also the people in control of their sport don't want them to speak up because it would embarrass them because of the rules that they have put in place allowing this to happen. And they don't want them to be shown up and ridiculed. The news follows last week's Mail on Sunday report revealing that Emily Bridges, another man who wants to be a woman, a cyclist who won medals at university level racing as a man before transitioning, has announced he will start competing in female events. The Tavistock Clinic is the unofficial name of the NHS's Principal Gender Identity Development Service, run by the Tavistock and Portman NHS Foundation Trust in London. Yeah, this is publicly funded and is anti-women and part of the NHS, which in itself enables rape. So, you know, you have to wonder why are the taxpayers funding this? Hamilton's main research interest is the effects of testosterone suppression or supplementation on the athletic performance of transgender athletes, according to a personal profile page on the university's website. Now, it's actually, if I was a professional sportsman and I was to take testosterone to top up my natural testosterone, that's actually defined in the rules as cheating. That is taking substances to improve performance, and it's cheating. He, regardless of how much lippy he puts on, will have a much higher level of testosterone than a woman, and he's had the benefits of male puberty, where having all that testosterone has caused much more muscle growth, much more bone density, bone strength, twitch response, O2 uptake, all those sorts of things. So it's clearly not fair, because it isn't just testosterone that gives men the advantage. Before that, he studied exercise and health at Aberdeen University, playing for its men's football team. In a video posted online last year, Hamilton told of his struggle with gender identity. "I didn't fit in," he said. "I obviously knew I wasn't a man, so I was out of place. I suspect if you did a blood test and found it would be XY chromosomes, and I bet there's still junk in his pants. So, yeah, you're a man." During spring 2018, he started training with Aberdeen University's women's team after they told him, "You don't belong there, why don't you come here? Why don't you play women's football?" Hamilton, a Rangers supporting Scot, you'd wonder why he didn't support Hamilton Academicals with a name like that, who later moved to Brighton to study, joined a Hastings side a year ago. Last night, club chairman Billy Wood said, "It's a touchy subject." Well, I'm not going to be touching it, mate. But Blair is not one that shies away from controversy, and nor will we as a football club. Yeah, the controversy of being, we're going to risk women's lives by making them play against a huge man. In his academic work, Hamilton has disputed trans women have an advantage in sport. Well, of course he will, because it's his agenda, arguing that testosterone-lowering drugs reduce muscle quality and quantity to a level playing field. No, they don't. No, they do not, because you've still got other benefits. Last September, the UK Sports Council Equality Group published guidance concluding that the inclusion of transgender people into female sport cannot be balanced regarding transgender inclusion and fairness and safety to women in sports where sex-based physiology caused performance differences. It's plainly obvious to anyone who is not an idiot or not with a vested interest and an agenda that this is the case, that men who can transgender, can reduce their testosterone levels, will quite clearly still have massive physical advantages over women. This is because trans women benefit from retained physical advantages thanks to male puberty, even if they later take testosterone suppressants, which I've mentioned. The Mail on Sunday attempted to contact Hamilton, but he declined to comment. Of course he did, because despite having manly balls, he's got no balls. Now here's a related piece, and this is, I saw this, and this is actually being put with this first article, but we're going to go through this as well. Amateur women and girls across Britain are quitting sport after facing male-bodied opponents, claim campaigners. Women and girls across Britain are dropping out of recreational sport because they're being pressurised to compete against transgender women who are biologically male, according to a leading campaign group. There is already controversy over trans sportswomen competing in elite female competitions. And we've already covered this, be it Leah Thomas in the swimming, be it, what's the name, Emily Bridges in the cycling, and Blair Hamilton I've just mentioned in the football. But it's across all sports. It's a massive problem. Fair Play for Women has established that it's also affecting grassroots and amateur sport, with many participants feeling pressured into remaining silent. Last night, Fiona McAnina, I hope I pronounced that right, Director of Sport Campaigns at FPFW, Fair Play for Women, which has lobbied to keep women's sport single-sex, warned, "If you think this is a small problem, think again. The issue is hitting women's sport right across the UK, and sadly it's pushing some women to completely drop out." Of course it is. They're having opportunities taken away, and the danger they feel endangered. Especially for teenage girls, just knowing that there is a trans woman at the club can be enough to put them off going for fear of an embarrassing encounter in the changing room or toilet. That's right. You don't want to be sitting there seeing some woman's manly cock wobbling about in front of your face. A dossier compiled by FPFW includes testimony from a female hockey player in an amateur London league who walked off the pitch when given the task of marking a transgender opponent. The person was 6'4" and had an Adam's apple, she said. Every time I was going for the ball, the transgender woman was far, far faster, and after a few minutes, I just took myself off. I was in tears. I came to play against a female opposition, and there was a male on the pitch. I just felt a sense of fairness was not there, and she felt unable to complain in case she was branded a transphobe. A parent and cricket coach from the south of England told Fair Play for Women he was concerned about the safety of girls, as one of as young as 12 asked to play against a team containing a trans woman, or a man. As father to these girls, aged 14 and 16, I find that unacceptable, uncomfortable and dangerous, both morally and physically, he wrote. Cyclist Bo Novak said she had stopped attending women-only road cycling sessions when a trans woman led the group she joined in the southwest of England. It was advertised as a leisure rise for women in small groups led by a woman, said Ms Novak. But a male-bodied person was leading the group, not just taking part. He was much stronger than the rest of us and went far too fast. Her complaints were ignored, so she dropped out. And this is happening across the country, and it's inadequate men who cannot compete against other men are deciding that if they want to be winners, they're going to have to race women, they're going to have to beat women, because they need to feel good with their little tiny egos and massive cocks. Members of a women's walking football club for older and less mobile players, in which no running is allowed, also revealed their dismay when a trans woman joined. A whistleblower at the club said the person was a 60-year-old with a male body, but they had French plates, dangly earrings and long fingernails. Some of us were in shock, but felt we were not allowed to say anything. My darlings, you are allowed to say anything you like. It is not illegal to complain, and if enough of you do, change. The charity running the club later told the group that they had to accept the transgender player or leave. There you go. Leave. Just leave. And when he turns up and he's the only person there, and the club folds, and the charity goes, oh, what could possibly go wrong? And that's all you've got, is to walk away. So walk away. And if every time a man comes onto a field of sport, or whatever, the sport is, and it's a woman's game, and a man walks on that pitch, or onto that track, or into that pool, whatever it be, women, stand and walk. Just stand and walk en masse. And that'll be the end of it. And then it'll stop happening, and the rules will be changed in 7 days. Anyway, I'm going to come up, and we'll round off.
I think the momentum now is that the pushback has begun. I think that this rolling boulder where women have started to push, it's going to get faster and it's going to get bigger. It's going to snowball. Keep talking in analogies, but I hope you understand what I mean. As this movement gains momentum, it becomes bigger, becomes more powerful, it gets a louder voice, and the sporting authorities and ultimately the courts, Parliament, all those in authority will have to take notice of it, will have to accept that action needs taken, because it is manifestly unfair to women to have a man on a field of sport against them. It's the physicality could be life-threatening. There's also the just basic unfairness of opportunities being removed, rights being stripped. Plus, there's other possibilities of, shall we say, various sexual offences that may or may not happen. I am not in any way saying that all transgender women are rapists. I'm not saying that. But undoubtedly, there is that fear of a male body in a female-only space. And it's wrong, and I wouldn't want it for anyone. I don't see why women should have to put up with it. Now, there will be some who argue, well, that's not fair on the transgenders. Yes, but that's a choice. Choices have consequences, and if you know that the choice you make means you cannot go forward playing that particular sport, then you have to ask yourself which is more important, the sport or your lifestyle choice. And that's it. It's as simple as that. But we shall draw this one to a conclusion. If you like what you see and hear on this channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.
Ring the bell for notifications for future output. Leave a like and leave a comment. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and goodbye.